Aloha, everyone, and welcome back to Living in Power Today. I'm Susan Peters Chesley, your ASD Master Coach, growing in self acceptance of my own ASD traits, just like you. In this series, we're exploring what cognitive distortions are, how they develop, and their impact on our daily lives. Today, in this episode, we're tackling should statements and perfectionism. Do you find yourself saying, I should be more productive, or I should have done better? Yeah, well, if so, you might be caught in this cognitive distortion of setting unrealistic standards that create unnecessary pressure and disappointments. So let's explore how to break free from these rigid expectations. So should statements and perfectionism happen when we impose rigid rules on ourselves or others? Should statements happen, we think I should be smarter, or, we just talked about mind reading and assumptions. This also relates to perfectionism of us thinking that other people think we're stupid or we're this or that. And so we over expect ourselves to be a certain way and we mask. Now, should statements and perfectionism often lead to feelings of guilt, frustration, or disappointment in ourselves when reality doesn't match up with these self-imposed rules. Now, they're self-imposed, right? Nobody's telling you you have to be perfect. But we've developed this expectation, maybe because we were in dysfunctional families, or we work in dysfunctional and toxic cultures, where expectations might be rigid and unhealthy, and we've just held on to that. And so, we need to talk about this today. Now, perfectionism, which often goes hand in hand with shoulding, on ourselves. I call it shoulding on myself, reinforces the belief that anything less than flawless is unacceptable. And we see this all the time. My grandchildren are on the TikTok. I'm old enough to call it the TikTok, right? And Instagram. And the level of perfectionism on those two apps is astronomical. And so for level 1 autistic adults, this can be particularly exhausting, as we may already feel pressured to mask or meet neurotypical standards. So imagine you plan to socialize, you plan this out, because I have to plan it out. God, if I've got a week to plan it, that's great. But a day before, I'm still panicking. So imagine if you plan to socialize, but when time came to go, you felt drained and you canceled. So instead of allowing yourself rest, you think, I should have pushed through it. I'm being lazy. This self-criticism adds unnecessary stress and overlooks your valid need for rest. And also, I'm going to add here that I'm being lazy thing is also something that you've probably heard in your childhood, especially in your teens, when you're on the spectrum and you're going through phenomenal changes, just like neurotypical, but it's more for us. And we're not lazy. We're just shut down. Maybe our parents is like, do this, do that, do this, do that. And it's overwhelming. We start doing it and we just don't have the energy to push through. Therefore, we're called lazy. And so this is where we learned that self-criticism. Um, everybody at every age deserves rest. Even our kids that we're pushing And we expect our teenagers to know everything when honestly they don't know squat. They're so busy socializing and trying to be perfect at school. All of these things we're talking about is going on in a middle school and a high school. And think about back to how you felt. It was overwhelming. I couldn't wait to get out of high school. So the challenges and the impact of should statements and perfectionism can contribute to chronic stress, anxiety, and burnout. Not just burnout, but autistic burnout. I keep telling you, it's different for us. It's more extreme. Um, these things make it difficult for us to celebrate progress that we do make and can prevent us from taking risks or enjoying lives. So when we hold ourselves to impossible standards, and I mean they're impossible, even small mistakes feel like failures. Now, when we hold ourselves to these impossible standards, again, these small mistakes feel like failures, like right here. And I chose this puzzle graphic on purpose. The puzzle icon that was used for years symbolizing autism spectrum made many of us on the spectrum feel unwhole, like a missing piece of humanity and a failure of a human being. So thank goodness that it's no longer used, as we are not missing anything. We are whole human beings who just happen to see and think differently about things. We just have different perspectives. Now, to challenge should statements, we learn to reframe using reframing strategies too, such as practicing replacing should with could or prefer. We know these words are preferences. A lot of people use that word in a negative way, but I look at here as your preference is valid. Doesn't matter what other people think. Your preference is valid. Do you hear me? So instead of saying, I should be more social, try, I would like to connect more, but I also need rest. So this small shift encourages self-compassion, and it lets you look at that your thoughts about yourself again and what you prefer in your life and how you prefer to look at yourself is valid. Okay. Another useful approach is embracing good enough. Instead of striving for perfection, focus on progress. If you've ever been in an anonymous meeting, you know the term progress over perfection, something like that. I can't, it's been a while, I haven't used it, but ask yourself, what's a realistic and kind expectation for myself? Kindness to ourselves. That's something we're not doing. We're taught to be kind to other people. Put that mask on and be kind to other people. Well, how about being kind to ourselves? Again, we want to add to the puzzle of life, and we're being enough instead of seeing it as missing a piece. It says progress, not perfection. There you go. I knew I'd remember it sooner or later. There you go. See, I'm not perfect. I forget stuff too. Lastly, let's celebrate the small wins. Recognize that growth comes in steps, not perfection. Learning to be flexible with yourself leads to greater well-being. We are often flexible and give grace to other people. So now it's your turn to be flexible and give yourself grace. Okay. Letting go of shoulds and embracing flexibility allows for a more balanced, fulfilling life. Let it go. Just let it go. It's not really, it's not that big of a deal. So next time, we'll dive into filtering out the positive. That's why we overlook good experiences and how to change that. So check in the link in the description or the pinned comment for a printable worksheet to download and use daily to challenge becoming more aware of your biased thoughts. So if this resonated with you, let me know in the comments of how you're managing with your thought processes and how you're doing with these steps. What's been helping you? Remember, you are not your assumptions. Let's support each other through this. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if on Fanbaits, hearts are always appreciated. Remember, every moment is a chance to see things differently. See you next time. Aloha.